Irresistible Romance. Chapter 2. She got married. A woman dared to say that to Jiang Sui-an. Off to the side. His assistant's eyes widened. Was this woman mad? Yan Wen stood smiling in front of Jiang Sui-an, even though her heart was in her throat. However, once she set her mind on something, she did not waver. So she straightened her back and forced herself to face the gaze of the man with the imposing aura. Yan Wen. Jiang Sui-an pressed his thin lips together and ground out her name in his rich voice. Yan Wen bravely clenched her fists and replied, "Yes." He took measure of the woman in front of him, his cold face not revealing anything. He looked at his assistant, who was out of the corner of his eye, and said something out of the ordinary. "Get me her files." Yan Wen bit the side of her lip, hiding her surprise, and waited for his final decision. Not daring to defy Jiang Sui-an, the assistant hurriedly pulled up all Yan Wen's information and passed it to him. Several minutes later, he stood in the doorway of the office and told her, "Yes." Yan Wen let out the breath she had been holding. He had agreed. Marrying Jiang Sui-an was a double blessing. At the least, they were getting each other out of an awkward position. There was no need for so-called love. As for Bai Zhexuan, she would make him understand what regret really meant. The registration procedure was a breeze, and as Yan Wen exited the building again, this time with Jiang Sui-an, she held a marriage certificate in her hands. Who knew getting married was so easy? The sun was glaring in her eyes, but it could not compare to the aura of the man beside her. Mr. Jiang, could I have a few minutes of your time?" Yan Wen called out, voice laced with nervousness. Even after getting the certificate, she still felt uneasy about his emotional distance. But that could also be a good thing. The man frowned slightly at the formality, the coldness in his eyes thawing slightly as he threw out a careless yes. Yan Wen took a few quick steps forward and followed him into the car. "What do you have to say?" He gave her an inscrutable look, leaning elegantly against the seat. "I know we are legally wed, but about us I would like not to announce it yet," Yan Wen said carefully, as she looked down and rubbed her fingertips together. "Why?" He did not reject her outright, but instead asked quietly. "I have something to settle first. It won't take long." Jiang Sui-an smirked at that. His answer sounded dangerous. "Of course. You have 3 months. And I'll send someone to pick you up tomorrow." "Pick me up?" Yan Wen looked surprised and confused. "You are now my wife. Husbands and wives live under the same roof." He looked pointedly at the marriage certificate in her hand. Yan Wen thought about it but had no reason to decline. So she nodded. "I agree." Yan Wen got off at the intersection. As she watched the black Bentley drive off, her legs felt like jelly. She had not only managed to marry herself off, and to an important man no less. She could not calm the turbulence in her heart, but Yan Wen pulled herself together. Feeling better, she called a car and left. There was still so much to do. 2 streets away, Jiang Sui-an casually flipped open the newspaper with his long fingers. He instructed his assistant, "You can tell the old man that I'm married. Also, find out what happened to Yan Wen recently." He remembered that she was the screen queen 2 years ago and was called the goddess of beauty and entertainment industry. But she retired behind the scenes at the peak of her career, and there were rumors flying around of her relationship with Grand Entertainment's youngest son Bai Zhexuan. For someone like her to instigate marriage with him, she had to hiding something. His thin lips smiled as he thought about her appearance. Welcome to download Bravonovel app to read Irresistible Romance novel full story online.